Hello, CPTSD, also known as complex PTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as developmental trauma or developmental trauma disorder, sometimes also referred to as childhood trauma. So a very warm welcome to you if you are joining us for the very first time. My name is Athena, and I'll be facilitating our time together this evening. We've all been showing up here together about once a week for about 10 years now. So I'd like to warmly welcome you if this is your very first time here with us. If this is your first time listening on a replay, you found us at 3 a.m, 5 years from now. I want to warmly welcome you. If you are here for our time together, I'm so grateful that you've chosen to be here with us this evening. So, I am a year older today than I was last week when we were here together. So I am finally, officially 50 years old. And many of you know that I'm very excited about it. I had a cancer scare in my early 20s. And I never really thought I would make it to 50. And yet here I am. So I'm very, very grateful for that. So what we do together here on Mondays is we have been doing nervous system regulation. So we have some breath work that we do together. We also have a meditation or devotional by Morgan Harper Nichols. Her artwork is what you see up on the screen. We also have a compassionate healing strategy written by Dr. Arielle Schwartz, taken from her book titled A Practical Guide to Complex PTSD, Compassionate Strategies to Begin Healing Childhood Trauma. And then we end our time together with our Loving the Self affirmation by Lisa A. Romano. So thank you so much for choosing to be here. Again, my name is Athena. This YouTube channel is sponsored by the Foundation for Post-Traumatic Healing and Complex Trauma Research. Part of the mission of CPTSD Foundation is to raise awareness about the effects and the prevalence of repeated relational trauma and to provide accessible, low-cost, and no-cost resources and support to survivors and practitioners and those in the communities they serve. So a very warm welcome to you, and a very special thank you to our Blue Wrench crew, Ninja Taco, and John Harvey. I'm so glad to have you here moderating the chat stream. I couldn't do this without you. So very grateful. And a very warm welcome to you, Jeffrey. And a very warm welcome to you, Shell. And a very warm welcome to you, Abigail, and Shorty, and Christine, and Destiny. Long time no see, Destiny. Great to see you. And a very warm welcome to you, Mandy J and Lil J. And a very warm welcome to you, Leona. Oh, thank you all so much for the birthday wishes. And a very warm welcome to you, Abigail. Oh, thank you so much. Abigail says, I've been listening to your replays for months on my daily walks. So grateful to finally join you live. Well, we are so grateful that you are here. And a very warm welcome to you, Leona. Leona says, so glad I found this live. I've been watching from back in the TRU days with Bobby, but I got lost in the algorithm. Much love to all here and Athena, of course. Aw, so glad to have you. So grateful to have you here. Hello, Midnight Blue. Always so great to see you. So apologies for the noise in the background. I'm gonna release the need to control that and be upset about it because there's absolutely nothing I can do when trucks decide they need to back up and do things, because those are things that trucks need to do. I have a feeling they're emptying the garbage outside. So if that is distracting for you, my apologies. I can only hope that it will be short-lived. So we are going to be doing some box breathing together this evening. I want to invite you to get very, very comfortable. And as always, I will describe my setup for you. I am sitting in my workspace and I am propped up just a little bit more comfortable than usual with a little bit more posture support. I have an extra pillow. I I somewhat sort of kind of injured my back a little bit lifting something. So I'm taking it easy, and I'm on the mend, and I think I may take an ibuprofen later. So I am sitting in my workspace. I have 2 pillows supporting my posture, and I have my feet propped up so I can get a nice big stretch when we do our breath work. I have a glass of cool water nearby. And again, I want to just invite you to get very comfortable. You can close down your eyes if that feels safe. At the very least, you can perhaps soften your gaze. And when we do box breathing, what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in for 4 counts. We will hold for 4 counts. We will breathe out for 4 counts, and then we will hold for 4 counts. Now, if that doesn't feel helpful and supportive for you because holding your breath is not something that you enjoy, it causes you anxiety or is just not supportive for you, then I just want to invite you to perhaps lean back. Just breathe as you usually would while we're all breathing together. And simply place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. So I'm sitting up tall. My spine is strong. My heart space is open and my belly is soft. I will count us in on our first breath and on our 4th breath, and then we will be on our own on our 2nd and our 3rd breath. Okay? Let us begin. We will breathe in 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. On your own now. Again. Last time together now. Inhale in 3, 2, 1. Breathe in 3, 2, 1. Hold 3, 2, 1. Breathe out 3, 2, 1. Hold 3, 2, 1. Well done. Beautiful. I got 2 yawns on that one. The goal of our box breathing is to regulate our nervous system. And the good news is 2 of the greatest ways to regulate our nervous system is by co-regulating with another mammalian nervous system, which if you're here with us right now, live, you have 14 other mammalian nervous systems, all in this room with you, co-regulating. Or perhaps you have a pet. And then the second way, is one of the best ways to regulate your nervous system, is by doing focused breathing. So there we've done 2 of our best ways of regulating our nervous system. So when we yawn, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest. And it helps our brain and our body communicate with one another, reminding us that we're not in danger. Hello to you, Jeffrey Sherman. I said a brief hello to you earlier, but I think I only said Jeffrey and I didn't say Jeffrey Sherman like I always do. It's great to see you, Recovery Buddy. Midnight Blue says, I got a little yawn. That's awesome. Yes, co-regulation. Great to have you here with us, B. A warm welcome to you. So we have our meditation with Morgan Harper Nichols that we will do first, and then we will do our compassionate healing strategy with Dr. Ariel Schwartz, and then we will end our time together with our loving the self affirmation. So the theme this week is celebrating our progress. Now, Morgan Harper Nichols, that I'm about ready to read, is talking about celebrating our progress, whereas Dr. Ariel Schwartz is helping us to celebrate our progress by noticing kindness, noticing how we can consciously create opportunities for positive feelings and positive emotions, celebrating our progress and noticing our progress on giving and receiving compliments, and just enhancing some of the positive emotions that we are able to experience, which never, ever, ever take the place of or negate anything traumatic that we've ever been through. These are just ways we can help to regulate our nervous system. Okay, so we can simply notice moments, little micro moments where we feel hopeful, right? And when we notice our progress, it helps us to be mindful of it and to celebrate it. And what we're doing in those moments, if we're glancing at modern neuroscience, the more and more and more we notice positive moments and we savor them and we celebrate them, we are rewiring our brain for safety. And that is super important if we have experienced repeated relational trauma. So after we do our Morgan Harper Nichols reading, and our Dr. Ariel Schwartz reading, we're going to end our time together with Lisa A. Romano's Loving the Self-affirmation, all about how we're becoming more aware of the self. And that is something to celebrate. A very warm welcome to you, Ashley. Ashley says, "Hi everyone, this is only my second time joining. I'm glad to be here again." We are so glad that you're here. Warm welcome to you. A warm welcome to you, Abigail. Aw, Abigail says, "Kitty came to lay on my chest during the breathing exercise. Little creatures always know best." Yes, they do. They very much do. Midnight Blue says, "I love co-regulation." So do I. So do I, Midnight Blue. Hello to you, Emily. So glad that you're here with us. Emily says hello to everyone. I'm so glad you made it. Aw, Bee says hello everyone. My husband and I are new here. Well, we're so glad that you and your husband are both here. We're very grateful. So here we go. Let us begin. Let us begin again, since we already began with our breath work. So Morgan Harper Nichols is a poet and an author and an amazing artist. Her artwork is what you see up on the screen. And this week, she's reminding us to celebrate our progress. Again, I want to warmly welcome you to close down your eyes or soften your gaze and get very comfortable and simply allow yourself to receive. Morgan says, "Just in case no one has told you lately, the progress you are making, true, that does not mean that you yourself are not seen. The rooms you enter are still filled with the light you bring, even if others take it for granted. Even if others do not notice, no matter what, may you know this to be true. Grace is running wild within you, and you have not been forgotten. You are going to grow in the way you were meant to. You will bloom with wisdom and strength through the years. Your life will be an ever-present reminder of what it means to make the most of your life right here. You might be in a place where you are having to give your all right now. And even when you feel like you are doing what you're supposed to do, you still have this persisting doubt. Is this ever going to be enough? Am I ever going to be good enough? And there are so many things that can make you ask these sorts of questions, whether it's coming from others or if it's coming from within. It can become a daily battle that keeps you from finding the peace and the strength to keep going. And it only becomes harder when your work goes unnoticed, and when the post that you were working toward seems to be moving farther away with every step. Please let it be in that place where you are not sure you are giving enough, that you make the time to slow down and be honest about where you are right now. You do not have to be everything to everyone. You do not have to be seen or acknowledged to be considered worthy. You are free to take your time. You do not have to be in a hurry. And the beautiful thing about not always being in a hurry, it allows you to see things in a new way. And this includes the way you see yourself. Sometimes when you are going and going and going, it becomes all too easy to forget just how much you are giving. 1 hour turns into multiple, and you do not even realize how long you have worked. Days turn into weeks, and you cannot even remember the last time you rested. Whenever you feel tired, discouraged, or you start to doubt yourself, take a good look around and see what things can wait. What things can wait while you catch up on your rest? What things can wait while you catch up with yourself? I know that life is busy, but I hope that you can find something. I hope you can find some gap, some space, some moment in between things where you do not have to feel guilty for taking a moment to breathe, or to just be reminded once again that you are not on a loop. As a flower blooms up from the ground, so will you. Your progress truly matters. May you make the time to be mindful of your progress. Let it remind you that you are blooming. Let it remind you of your strength. I love Morgan. She's so gentle in her invitation to pause. I feel so grateful for the moment, the invitation to pause. So as we transition into our compassionate healing strategy with Dr. Ariel Schwartz, I want to invite you to get a sip of water, perhaps adjust your pillow, get comfortable. So we're beginning a 4-week series on overcoming feelings of hopelessness and despair. And this is probably a great time to remind us of the 2 different presentations of complex PTSD. So remember, with CPTSD, it often presents itself in one of 2 ways. Either in an anxious presentation or a depressive presentation. Same situation, same complex trauma, same scenario, same relationship, ongoing repeated relational trauma that brought us here. But sometimes it affects our nervous system in a way that speeds up our heart rate, and our hands get clammy, and our mouth gets dry, and our tummy gets queasy. Our heart starts to race, right? We start to look around and make sure that we're not in danger. We look for exits, and we're a bit on guard and hypervigilant. That's an anxious presentation of complex PTSD, usually brought on by, well, it could be anything. It could be the way the wind blows, or it could be other humans. Since complex PTSD is always relational in nature, meaning that it's always brought on by another person, usually the anxious presentation of complex PTSD is when we feel overwhelmed, and it could be in a social situation or when other humans are present, and we're just not 100% sure if they are safe enough. And there is the depressive presentation of complex PTSD. And so the depressive presentation is often brought on by feelings of overwhelm, or we start to feel trapped or like we have no choices. We feel a bit paralyzed by the list of things we have to do. We are unsure of an outcome of something, and so we begin overthinking it, and then before long we become so paralyzed by overthinking the outcome of something that we feel hopeless and even helpless, and we can find ourselves feeling quite low and even wanting to just take a nap for a month or hide under the bed covers. That is a depressive presentation of complex PTSD. Okay, and again, that's usually brought on by some form of puzzle. We're unsure of, it's usually tied to another human, obviously, because it's complex PTSD, always brought on by humans. But what it usually is brought on by in other humans is that we are overly consumed and concerned with whether or not they are going to approve of us, or like us, or be kind to us, or be happy with us, or approve of our choices. Okay? And this is our depressive presentation of complex PTSD. So sometimes when we're in this depressive state, or the depressive presentation, we have these overwhelming feelings of hopelessness and despair. And it's important for us to remember in those moments, please don't miss this. It is just a symptom. It is not forever. It is not our life. This will pass. It absolutely does feel like it's going to last forever. It does feel huge because it is so overwhelming. But I promise you, it's a symptom. It's not who you are. It's a symptom of what you've been through. And you are healing. Okay? So Dr. Ariel Schwartz is sharing some vignettes with us, as she usually does. And then she walks us through a compassionate healing strategy. So she says, one of the greatest damages caused by long-term trauma is the impact it can have on our hope for a positive future. A looming sense of despair might dominate your awareness. Given that child abuse and neglect are relational traumas, you may have lost faith in other people's trustworthiness or their capacity for goodness. If you relate to these symptoms of CPTSD, please know that you are not alone. you can overcome the overwhelming feelings of hopelessness and despair by working through the pain of your past and reclaiming a sense of meaning and purpose for your life. So we begin this week with a vignette, and this person's name is Daryl. Daryl says, I wish that I had a sense of purpose. Most days, I feel like I'm going through the motions. I wake up, get dressed, eat, and go to work. But what's the point of it all? Everything I do feels like a chore. I have no sense of direction for my life. I can't imagine a future worth living. End quote. So Daryl came into therapy with Dr. Ariel Schwartz and was seeking a sense of direction and purpose. So as they explored his history, Dr. Ariel learned that Daryl had grown up in a home where he was profoundly emotionally neglected. Both of his parents were addicted to drugs and were often absent or intoxicated. Daryl's trauma was related not only to his experiences in witnessing their addictions, but also to the extended periods of time he was left alone. His childhood lacked emotional and physical connection. He learned that in order to survive, he had to raise himself. He had learned to dismiss his own emotional needs. So now, as an adult, Daryl continued to feel cut off from his emotions, and as a result, his life had very little depth or meaning. Therapy provided an environment for Daryl to attend to the ways his parents had neglected his thoughts and feelings as a child. He realized how hopeless he had felt as a child, feeling that nothing he ever did made a difference. He had been projecting this same sense of despair onto his future. And in time, he became better able to validate his own feelings, and he noticed that he began feeling less flat. And ultimately, Daryl realized that he had to take responsibility for his life. He recognized that he couldn't take back the childhood that was stolen from him. But at this point, he could say, I am in charge of my life now. So it's important for us to understand the loss of meaning and how it's connected to the rise of hopelessness. Okay, particularly if we had emotionally absent parents. So as with Daryl, many survivors of childhood trauma experience a deep existential loneliness or a sense of despair. And in part, this is due to, again, as I mentioned earlier, the senselessness of child abuse and neglect. CPTSD can affect our systems of meaning. And what that means is CPTSD affects the beliefs we hold about ourselves and about our relationships and about the world and about our future. For example, we might believe that we are permanently damaged or that we are incapable of overcoming obstacles in our life. And perhaps we doubt that people can ever act with kindness or generosity. We might doubt that there is any goodness possible in the world. Maybe you feel a sense of despair about the state that the world is in. These feelings are valid, and while they are valid, these feelings can make it challenging for us to find any sense of purpose, meaning, or hope for our future. And for us as survivors of complex trauma, having hope for our future relies upon knowing that our actions make a difference in the outcome of our life. So as a child, we may have initially tried to make things better for ourselves. We may have even tried to make things better for our whole family. For example, we might have tried to relieve our parents' suffering. We might have also felt that no matter how hard we tried, nothing ever worked. So a loss of hope, especially in a child, often arises when we feel that we have run out of choices and there's no way to change our situation. And we might feel accumulated and insurmountable disappointment, or even a sense of utter and total defeat. The cost of despair is the loss of our vitality and our joy. So we might feel bad about ourselves or feel incapable of living the life that we want. And these ongoing feelings of powerlessness can lead us to feel that our actions are futile, that nothing matters. We might wonder what the point of trying to get better even is, or we might question whether healing is even possible. We might have grown bitter or cynical. It is absolutely essential for us to remember that all of these feelings are symptoms. They are not signs of failure on our part. These feelings are the result of the traumatic events of our past. And most importantly, they do not need to define our future. Feelings of despair and hopelessness can feel like heavy weights that we are carrying in our body and in our mind. And the healing process involves turning toward the pain and allowing ourselves to feel the heaviness. And I don't know about you, but turning toward my pain and allowing myself to feel heaviness is not something that sounds very fun. In fact, the human brain and body is wired in such a way to avoid that at all costs. So oftentimes there will never be sufficient retribution to make up for the injustice of abusive or neglectful parents or loved ones or whatever relationship it is that's brought you to this place called CPTSD Foundation. Your pain may never, ever, ever be adequately acknowledged by those who injured you, and profound feelings of grief might strike you as you work through unresolved feelings of resentment and disappointment. But remember, please, please remember, you are not healing alone. You do not need to heal alone. It can help you to allow even just one other person, even if it's just your therapist. And this is a great start, coming to our group on a weekly basis. We've all been showing up here together for 10 years. We're not going anywhere. So it can help you. Not only does it help you if you trust just one other person like your therapist, but you can be with a group of others with a similar lived experience in the midst of your suffering. And as you allow others to stand with you in the darkness, together you can learn to turn toward the light. That's what we do here every week. We turn toward the light. And more than anything else, feelings of hopelessness and despair benefit from unconditional acceptance and compassion. So those feelings of hopelessness and despair, they begin to diminish. They begin to disappear the more you are feeling unconditionally accepted with compassion and acknowledgement and validation and empathy here with us week after week. You might feel unsure about opening your heart to anyone, even if it's just an online group in a world that has betrayed you. But each time you let the gift of another person's kindness inside, you have an opportunity to restore your faith in humanity. And eventually, this can also help you turn toward yourself with greater self-acceptance. And self-acceptance and self-compassion is what helps to heal CPTSD. Reflecting upon your relationship to meaning and to purpose. What relationship do you have with meaning and purpose? This is another key to overcoming our feelings of despair and hopelessness. Please allow yourself to take some time to reflect on the ways you have grown. Celebrate your progress. Look where you are today compared to where you were a week ago or a month ago or a year ago. Perhaps you have grown in compassion for others. Perhaps you have begun to express yourself creatively. Your process of finding meaning in the world and making meaning out of something that you've been through. All of this is unique to you. Nobody else can answer these types of profound existential questions in the same way you can. Making meaning out of all we have endured involves taking responsibility for our life, but not for what we've gone through. We didn't traumatize ourselves. We don't take responsibility for our trauma. We take responsibility for our life here and now by exploring any type of habitual thoughts and actions that we might have. For example, we might notice a tendency to think pessimistically about our life or about our future. And if so, I know sometimes I've gotten caught up in that several years ago. I was in a really dark place actually a few years ago. If you find yourself there, you could choose to challenge yourself to refocus your mind on something positive or loving about yourself or a pet or a loved one. It is important to keep this process realistic. We're not talking bypassing all of our trauma and pretending everything is fantastic and toxic positivity. That's not what we're talking about here. We're keeping the process realistic. So when we have a history of trauma, we know that the world can sometimes be unsafe and hurtful. And while it is limiting to believe that all situations are dangerous, it is equally unrealistic to tell ourselves that the world is always safe and that all people are kind. That's not what we're going for here. But what we can do is choose to surround ourselves with people who make smart choices and people who treat us respectfully. I'm going to say that again. Somebody needs to hear it again. Maybe it's me. We can choose to be around people who make smart choices and who treat us respectfully. We can feel empowered to shape our future in a positive direction. You might find that your ability to stay with positive thoughts or emotions feels limited, and that's okay. Here you can imagine, excuse me, here you can imagine the metaphor of a person who has been through a famine. The person will feel sick if he immediately goes to a feast and eats as much as he can. So instead, he needs to gradually introduce simple foods and to build up a tolerance for richer, more nourishing meals. Similarly, you might need to move slowly and build up your tolerance for positive and loving feelings. And with time and practice, you can bring more excitement and joy and vitality into your life. It absolutely is possible. So, our compassionate healing strategy this week, Ariel says, in general, human beings are wired for survival. We all have a built-in tendency to pay more attention to disturbing experiences than to the positive ones as a means of guaranteeing survival. But when you have a history of childhood trauma, this tendency to scan the environment for threats is even stronger. Your capacity to vigilantly observe your environment was necessary to keep you safe as a child. And while it is important to attend to the pain of your past, you can also learn how to offset this negative survival tendency by refocusing your attention on positive emotions and memories. So this healing strategy invites us to consciously pay attention to nourishing moments, micro moments, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. We're going to pay attention to nourishing micro moments that help us to strengthen our capacity for positive emotions. So we can do this by slowing down so we can feel and savor the experiences that evoke happiness, joy, or connection. You might notice a tendency to quickly brush off positive experiences. That's okay. But instead, consider challenging yourself to linger in those positive feelings for a bit longer, knowing that you are growing your capacity to feel good. The following suggestions will help you to enhance those positive moments and celebrate your progress. There are 4 different suggestions. Here we go. Suggestion number 1. Take note of moments of positive emotion in your life. For example, notice when you feel hopeful, focused, calm, or connected. Allow the positive feelings to grow by actively focusing on those good feelings. See if you can stay with the good feelings for just 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. while noticing how you feel in the body. Suggestion number 2. If someone gives you a compliment, take some time to fully receive the gift. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to let the good feeling grow. Pause and thank the person for the compliment, and notice the good feelings that arise. Suggestion number 3. Consciously create opportunities for positive feelings. Choose to listen to a piece of music you enjoy, or watch a movie that makes you laugh. Enjoy a meal by savoring the flavors, or buy yourself flowers for your kitchen table. Maybe find joy in doing a creative project like woodworking or painting or playing an instrument or organizing your home or even planning a trip or a road trip. In truth, it doesn't matter what the task is, so long as it makes you happy. The key to this practice is in staying with the good feelings for as long as you can. And last suggestion, give the gift of kindness to others. Experiment with giving a compliment or leaving a friendly comment on a friend's social media post. Notice how you feel during and after the experience. Explore how it feels to offer a random act of kindness to a stranger, say by extending a smile or opening a door for the person. In what ways are you nourished by the experience of giving? Allow yourself to attend to any positive emotions and sensations for just a little longer than you normally might. Next week, our healing strategy is talking about reflecting upon our strengths. So we're going to end our time together tonight with our loving the self affirmation. I don't know about you, but being here week after week for almost a decade now, it's something I savor. It's something I look forward to. And it's something I enjoy, and it brings me a lot of hope and a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. So thank you for being here. Our affirmation reads, and this is from Lisa A. Romano's Loving the Self Affirmations. It's a free download on her website. So as trauma survivors, we lack awareness and appreciation for the self. However, today I am more aware of the self than I was yesterday. And for that, in this moment, I can be glad. I know that the divine being I am is in me somewhere, and that my task in this lifetime is to connect, honor, respect, and love the self, in spite of how painfully others have treated me in my past. Thank you all so much for being here. And thank you for being in my life and for allowing me to be in yours. I look forward to seeing you back here next Monday and every Monday. Otherwise, I'll see you over in our community. It's in a place called Circle, and it's where we all kind of share like we do here in the chat box, but it's every day. There's a link in the description, and there's a link in the chat box. Otherwise, I will be right back here next Monday and every Monday, and I appreciate you very, very much. Good night, everybody.